welcome from the movie E.T., Mr. Henry Thomas, folks!
He's so cute.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dee Wallace!
Awesome.
Folks, please give it up for Mr. Matthew McDermott!
Ow!
Dee Meritt.
Matt McDermott. Oh, I'm sorry.
People call me DeWitt before, so I don't know where that.
They say don't call you Deanna.
True. So we were talking before you folks got here. We were kind of talking amongst ourselves about how generational E.T. is. I saw it for the first time with my grandmother, then I saw it with my mother, maybe my dad, and now I have a daughter that I want to introduce the movie to. So all of us just need to give you guys a big round of applause for such a cool
Doesn't make me feel old at all, what you just
crap.
It's all right, I am. I don't care.
You wear it well!
Thank you.
I've been telling Nathan since you were announced for the show, Dee, that we've had you at several shows, and I've seen you at several shows. I've never had the opportunity to meet you, so for me, this is huge. This is awesome. So I know that we're going to take some questions from the audience out there. We're going to take some questions, but one thing that I kind of want to throw out, I read this a few days ago and it kind of blew my mind, that the concept of E.T. came from Spielberg's imaginary friend that he kind of used as a coping mechanism when his parents were divorced. Yeah, I read that a few days ago. I don't know if anybody knew anything about it. I just thought it was cool.
I think it kind of came from Melissa. Did it?
Yeah, well, there was.
We learn something new every
I
time we
learned
do
something
one of
new,
these.
No, I thought originally that the idea was Melissa Matheson's idea, and then also John Sayles was involved in the early stages. There was a thing called Dark Skies that John Sayles had kind of come up with, and apparently they were going to do something together, but then John Sayles fell out, and then it was just Melissa and Stephen, and I think he put the story together while he was doing Raiders of the Lost Ark, but that's all that I know. As an actor, you know, you get hired last, so.
Yeah. We don't know shit.
We don't know.
Actually, they were supposed to get Rick Baker. I think Rick Baker did some original designs for that movie. And I always wanted to see what the original E.T. looked like, and I've always asked around, no one could tell me. But this one author, P.C. Gaines, wrote a definitive history of E.T. that's out. You should look for it. And it's got actual pictures of the original E.T. designed by Rick Baker. It's really amazing. So I highly recommend it.
I can't imagine anybody doing anything better than what we ended up doing.
No, I don't think it wouldn't have worked as a horror film, but it is interesting backstory.
I remember the first day on the set when I walked in and I turned to the right and there was E.T. with 4 guys around him. And I just stopped in my tracks. It was, I can't explain it, you guys, but it was like they captured a soul in what E.T. looked like for me. And that moment, that first moment when I saw E.T., I can remember it like it was yesterday.
I mean, it's truly, it's an iconic look. It truly is, and I've seen Meatballs 2 actually had an alien that was modeled after E.T. I know, I'm kind of reaching at that, but it's just that iconic look. So if anybody's seen Meatballs 2, yeah.
Mac and me, Meatballs 2.
And you won't either, because you can't find that anywhere. I don't even think the cast saw E.T. or saw Meatballs 2.
I should get some Meatballs 2 headshots. That's the first time I've heard anyone reference Meatballs 2. I just want to kind of imagine
It's probably going to be the last, actually.
Wasn't Corey Feldman in that? Or was that Meatballs 3? Okay, I'm getting my Meatballs trilogy.
There's meatballs all over the place.
That's the Meatballs extended universe.
Back to E.T.
I also really remember about E.T. going to the theater and the huge tie-in with Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was just...
Yeah, you know they offered it to M&M's first. Somebody definitely got fired the day after, right?
That was, I mean, Reese's Pieces were just massive. And the commercials that we saw for that, yeah, just freaking iconic. Were there ever talks about sequel?
I mean, I think the studio wanted a sequel after the success of the film, but Steven Spielberg and Melissa Matheson and Kathy Kennedy, they didn't really ever commit to anything seriously. So, you know, you had things like William Kotzwinkle wrote a novel about E.T. and the Green Planet, things like that, but they were kind of marketing forays. I don't think they really were serious ever.
Yeah, Stephen actually asked me while we were filming E.T. And he said, Dee, the studio's already called and asked me about doing a sequel. What do you think? And I said, not on your life. Leave it a classic. I'm sure it was all up to me. Just saying.
So it's your fault, Dee, that there's no sequel. So just think if we could go back in time and just change that one exchange.
I will happily take that responsibility.
How was it for you, Henry, being as young as you were, making this movie and then just all of a sudden got like the #1 movie in the world?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like between 1982 and 1984, it was a sensational hit. You know, it was still in theaters for 1 year. It was in theaters for a year, and it was #1 at the box office for 9 years. It wasn't until Jurassic Park that E.T. lost its box office championship, as it were, I guess. Yeah, so it was a big hit. But I don't know, I mean, I was 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old. I just keep getting older.
Real quick announcement, Jen Hogan. Jen Hogan, you are needed at the back door. Jen Hogan to the back door. And how was it for you guys? But it's like coming off a monster hit of E.T.
Yeah, and then I went on to do a lot more monster movies. So I just kept the theme going.
It was really good for me because around that time, or before E.T., I was bullied a lot in school. And so coming on the set of E.T. and meeting Robert and Henry in particular, we were like a little gang, and they just really boosted my confidence big time, just apart from the movie itself. And then, of course, the movie itself gave me a big boost in confidence. So before it was even released, before I even told anybody about it, going back to school, it was a whole different vibe. I wasn't bullied anymore. So it's a real special memory to me. It's a turning point in my life. So that's how much it meant to me.
It's awesome. All right, so I know we've got some questions out there. Where she's pointing over. Who's got some questions?
Oh, come on. That's handsome.
He raises his hand after the guy was.
Hi, I actually have a question for all of you. What was it like working on the set of E.T.? Like, was it fun, exciting, etc.?
It was fun. Film sets are generally about the same.
Yeah.
There's a certain way things are done, and it's always kind of done the same way. And there's great comfort in that. But as a kid, it was a lot of fun to be on a set where there were so many other kids, and that was the fun thing for me as a kid when I worked on E.T. Because when you work as a kid, you go to school every day. And so the schoolhouse was full of all these other kids, and that was a lot of fun. And as a kid from Texas, who hadn't really worked a lot in the film industry, working with these other kids that had done other things, and they'd been in other movies, and they'd done TV, and they'd done theater, and they'd done, it was a very educational, very influential time for me as a young person and as a young actor to kind of suddenly be in the midst of all these other working professionals who were young. It was quite something.
I was stoked because I had a trailer full of Coca-Cola and potato chips. So. And then Robert and Henry came by. They're like, "Dude, you can't be an introvert, man. Are you into D&D?" And I'm like, "No, I never heard of it." "Are you into mayhem and total disregard for people's safety?" "Yeah, okay, you're part of our gang." So it was just a very fun experience. Thanks to me.
I, on the other hand, was the only adult.
I was wondering if you could do your best E.T. impression.
Oh, please be talking to him.
Ouch. I don't know. I didn't do the voice, so I'm not going to
Yeah,
You know who's saying ouch right now? Robert. He broke his hand and broke his finger. That's why he's not here. So
Yeah.
He's going to be back. They're putting his finger in his sling, and he's going to sign the hand. It's going to be in perfect form tomorrow. So come by his table.
Yeah, you have to come by and ask him to sign an autograph.
Yeah. Ask him to sign like a big paragraph with like lots of quotes from the film.
Yeah, they got a big quote that he said.
This is the prank. This is a prank. Don't tell Robert we told you to do this.
Robert, I think he smashed his hand on purpose so he wouldn't have to do the pen.
Right there.
Hi, my question is for Henry. This isn't about E.T., but when you were working on Haunting of Hill House, what was your favorite part about that, and did it make you depressed?
Okay, so here's the funny thing about working on a horror show. It's usually really funny because it's ridiculous. Like, come on. I mean, I know everybody loves horror and it's fun, but it's ridiculous. Like, the premise, it's so stupid. It's like, the first 2 acts, you build up these characters and you make all this backstory, and then you just destroy it in the 3rd act with total disregard to logic or anything. You just destroy it. All the reasons you gave, you just reinvent new ones, and you just make another character deliver a monologue to explain it all in the 3rd act, and everybody just goes, oh yeah, okay. I mean, it's insane. So, you can't really take it very seriously when you're working on it. But of course, you have to load it with some kind of gravity so that the audience loves it. But I had more laughs working with Mike Flanagan on all those shows. And generally, it's more laughs than depression or like,
Unless you're doing Cujo.
yeah. You had a real dog.
I had 13 real dogs.
13 real dogs. Yeah, see,
Not a lot of laughs.
No.
we just had Mike Flanagan going, wait, I want to put a ghost in this shot. wait, let me put a ghost. Wait, can a ghost fit underneath Henry in this frame? Like, Mike, the scene. Yeah, I know. Let me put another ghost. So, yeah, Hill House was fun, and working with Flanagan is a lot of fun. And I loved Hill House. Out of all of those shows, I think Hill House is the best one.
This is for everyone. During the filming of E.T., what were your favorite mistakes or bloopers?
I pulled E.T.'s arms off on accident. And they told me ahead of time, they said, don't do this, you'll pull his arms off. And I went, action.
I was always a one-take guy. I never made any mistakes at all, so.
Oh, that was my line.
I don't know, what is that thing, that mistake? What is that?
Yeah, I've never counted one of those.
Hi. This request for all of you. Now, my question for Henry was like your audition tape and stuff. I seen like on the internet and stuff like that. Like you really like won them over pretty quick. Do you know how much competition you had, for the audition for the role? And how many kids they actually saw for this?
They had a kid hired before me. That they had a kid picked.
And how they filmed those bicycle scenes, and what were some of the members that filmed the bike scenes?
Okay, that's 2 questions.
Hey! There you go. I like it.
Can I counter you with a question? Has anybody ever told you that you sound like Mr. Garrison from South Park?
100%.
The bike scenes were filmed in midair. Next question.
It wasn't very interesting, the bike scenes. It was, 3 grips and a gimbal and a kid on a bike going, It looked a lot like this. Like, I'll do a quick impersonation.
Yes!
Give you one for free.
My question is for Henry. So I'm in school right now, I'm in high school, and I am a very busy person. I do lots of different things, and it's hard to keep things in track and keep good grades. So how was managing your time at such a young age and managing school and work?
It was pretty difficult, to be honest, because I'm not a very good student. I never really was. I don't really think it's necessary, honestly. But sorry, but it's true. I think it's ridiculous.
Well, especially on set class.
Yeah.
It's easy to blow that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm just staring at a blank page and not doing anything.
I did a really terrible job raising these kids.
I think what I learned how to do was how to get out of it. That's how I learned how to pass the buck. So, to be honest, I did take my academics kind of seriously, but it was very difficult to leave because I went to a public school, so I would leave and then I would work ET, what was it, 2 months that we shot? And then I went back to school, and you know, sometimes you're ahead of the class, sometimes you're behind the class, and so if you're ahead of the class, then you just kind of go to school for nothing and sit there and nod and go, I did this 3 months ago. But most of the time I was like negotiating with the school board because they were like, hey, your kid hasn't been in school for 2 months. You need to show us proof of your work. And you know, it was kind of like a court case every time I come back from a movie. You know, I was like proof of life. So what are your arithmetic skills? Sit down and do this for us. You know, it's like crap like that. So, you know, it's kind of a weird thing because when you're a kid, you're expected to be a professional on set, but you're also expected to be a student and do all of that and manage both of those things at the same time. But, you know, the kids that I worked with on Haunting of Hill House, those guys would have put me to shame when I was 10 years old because they were on it, like they knew all their lines and everything. And I was either good at one or good at the other, but I limped somewhere in between, you know. So hats off to the younger generation. They have a good work ethic from what I've seen, at least the ones I worked with.
Yes, I used to be a teacher. For all the kids in the audience, you need to do your studies.
Yes, you do.
Oh my God.
You need to go to school. You should go to school and don't stop. Just keep going to school.
Put an apple on your teacher's desk.
Going. Just go. Keep
Thank
going.
you.
When everybody has PhDs, the world will be a better place. And everybody will be able to work.
And when you're on your phone, open that calculator app.
That's right.
This is a question for all of you. I heard E.T. was filmed in order. If so, what are the pros and cons of shooting in order versus not in order?
Oh, great question. Great. And yes, most of ET was shot in order, especially because there were so many kids in the movie, and it's so much easier for you to build a character when you're shooting in order. You have an understanding of the development of the characters and where we're all going. It's just a lot easier. We also only shot from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, which is unheard of on a movie set. So I was really happy I was in a movie with a lot of kids because those are really, really good hours. Usually you start at 6 and you work till 9 or 10.
That's, no, absolutely right. And it's also the biggest challenge of being in a film, being an actor in a film, is trying to chart where your character is in the story on any given day, because so many times you're shooting out of order. So you have to know, you know, your arc, your character's arc, and the story's arc. And the more disjointed that is for you in production, the more difficult it is to keep track of it. And it's an important thing. It can really mess up your performance. And, you know, you're supposed to be at this place at this time, and you're just not there on the screen. Yeah, emotionally and otherwise. That was a good question. Thank you.
This is a question for Mr. Henry. When you were doing the bike, did you have to learn how to ride a bike to do that?
You know, I knew how to ride a bike before then, but this was at the beginning of the BMX days. And so we had these new BMX bikes, and they were really light compared to the bikes that I was used to. They also only had hand brakes. They didn't have the brake on the pedal where you press backwards and your bike stopped. Well, I should have probably figured that out before I got on the bike. But I found out the hard way. So we wrecked these bikes a lot like, in the beginning because they were like racing bikes and they were like sport bikes. So they had aluminum frames. And we were used to riding the kind of 70s bikes that had banana seats and weighed about 50 pounds. And you couldn't really jump on those or do anything drastic. So yeah, I had to figure out how to ride these new bikes. To answer.
Who are the stunt guys? I think they're gonna help you.
Well, no, they only came in. They brought all those BMX guys in to do the stunt riding for the chase,
Oh, right.
but they weren't there.
Right.
In the
To
beginning.
help you.
Yeah, they weren't there to help.
This is for everyone. What was your favorite scene and why?
My favorite scene was when I'm reading Peter Pan to Gertie. Because Peter Pan was my favorite story when I was little.
My favorite scene was the kitchen table scene when Robert and Henry were arguing. Gertie's gnawing on a piece of beef. I would laugh every time seeing that. And Robert's really good, right? He's real good. He's like defending his mom, and I love the fact that he's defending his mom. He cares about his mom's feelings. That's my favorite. And the drunk scene. That was my scene.
Yeah, I think my favorite scene is the goodbye scene at the end. I love the whole sequence, and I love the whole first act of the film. I love up to the point where E.T. is introduced. I love that whole story.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. So Dee, you mentioned Cujo earlier, and I rewatched that like a year ago, surrounded by my dog. So I was just wondering, kind of felt like you better not when watching it with them. Were you a dog person before, and were you after?
I have always been a dog person, and all my dogs have always been rescues, including my present one. You know, I just want to say those 13 dogs were big babies. They were all trained to go after toys, and we had to tie their tails down because they were wagging them. And we had so many dogs because Carl Miller was very responsible about not overworking the dogs. So there were one of me, 13 dogs.
All right, I have a question for all three of you. Just want to let you know that I watched E.T. when I was 11, back in like 06. I got the DVD and all that stuff. And one thing I felt was like after watching that end scene was the level of emotion I felt. I was like, I never really felt that emotional watching that end scene compared to any other movies. So what was it like working, like what were your emotions when you were finishing filming that end scene there of E.T., when E.T. leaves?
Well, it's very different when you're doing it and when you're watching it. I've probably seen E.T. 200 times. I cry every single time. When I shot the end scene, however, I had been sitting in my dressing room for about 3 weeks. And all of a sudden, the AD, the assistant director, comes in and says, Dee, come on, we have to get this shot before lunch. And I'm following him out, and I'm going, okay, what are we shooting? But the end of the scene, the very end of the scene, when E.T. takes off and everything. And this is all while we're running to the set. And I get there and Steven says, okay, Dee, E.T.'s taking off and it turns into a rainbow. All right, are we ready? We gotta get there. And I'm going, geez, hold on just a minute, right? Fortunately, I have a technique that works that way. And I heard action, and I think I was following, wasn't I following a pole with something on it? With a tennis ball. But somehow I saw that rainbow and the tears just came. And yeah, that was my big moment. Then the rest of it was easy. I mean, as soon as I saw Henry and interacted with Henry and everything, and watching him say goodbye to E.T., you know, holding Gertie, I mean, that was all easy.
Yeah, it's so disjointed when you film something, you know, like, I don't even remember how long it took to shoot that, but it probably took the morning of that day until lunch, so like 6 hours. But, you know, we were working every day, and we were on to other things after that and before that. That's how it is when you do a film. And there's no music, and it's not edited or anything, so it's a very different animal when you're there on set as opposed to when you're watching.
I wasn't there at the ending scene, but I remember being surprised when I went to the premiere and I first saw it. You know, I knew all the nuts and bolts of the picture. I've seen E.T., you know, dressed down, and it was very surprising how emotionally impacted I was by the ending scene. And I got a big lump in my throat. I was like, well, what is this? That's testament to their work and the genius of Spielberg. And he even came out recently, said that was his favorite film, which I was actually surprised by. Yeah, you'd think it would be a long slog him watching that film, but no, he says he goes back to it and watches it. It's his favorite film that he's done. So. Makes sense.
All right, we got one last question right back here. I want to end it with you.
Okay, this one's for Dee. How did it feel to be the only person, like, be the oldest?
I feel to be the oldest person on the set. The first word that comes to mind is responsible. I felt really, oh my God, why are the tears coming?
Aww. Because you care and you're a good person.
I felt responsible for each of these kids, even the preteens, but especially Henry and Drew. I felt motherly. I felt like I needed to set a good example, but that I also needed to encourage them and hold them and protect them and explain things to them. That's really what I remember most about working with all of them. That's why I play with I guess. All the time.
All right, everybody, one more thing before we go. We have a birthday right here in the front row. Today is Donna's 49th birthday, and E.T. is her favorite movie of all time. So,
come up, we'll all take a
right
picture.
here.
Yes, come on.
happy birthday to her, okay?
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you.
Folks, one more time, let's hear it for Henry.